Welcome to Freeway Moments. In this moment we're going to be looking at making rollovers in Freeway 5. A rollover is an effect which is applied to a graphic, and when you move your mouse pointer over that graphic it will change in some way. In this case we'll be building this button which changes blue when I move the mouse pointer over it. We'll be using Freeway Pro, but Freeway Express users will find that the interface for building a rollover is exactly the same. So let's switch over to Freeway and get started. On the page I have a couple of buttons and some text. One button item will be for when the image is normal, one is for when it's going to be rolled over, and I've got some text I want to put on the button as well. The first thing we want to do is to make sure all these elements are aligned vertically and horizontally. So I'll select them all and go to Item, Align, and in this window I want to align them horizontally and vertically along the central axes of each item, and click OK. And all the items are now stacked on top of each other. The text is hard to read, so I'm just going to double click in that, select all the text and change the colour to white. And this is what we're going to use as the basis for our rollover button. What I want to do is to keep these button items organised while I work on them. So the first thing I'm going to do is to group them. So I select them all and then go to Item and Group. If I click on the title of the site pane, you'll see it gives me a list of all the elements on the page. And we've got our 3 button items contained within an item called Item 4. To stop this kind of thing happening when I try to move the button group, I'm going to lock the elements inside the parent item. So in the Inspector palette, if I click on Lock for each of the 3 button objects, I should now be able to move the entire group around without any of them slipping. Time to add the rollover action to this button. Firstly, make sure that the parent item, in this case item 4, is selected, and using the site pane can be very helpful for that. Next, open the Actions palette, which you'll find in the Window menu. And now if we go to Item, Actions, Rollover, which will be somewhere down the list, you'll see that the Actions parameters have appeared in the Action palette. The Actions palette shows what items make up the button, and we have a list of them down the left here. And along the top we have a list of the states the button can take. In this case we're interested in normal and mouse over, which will display when the mouse pointer moves over that button. For the elements we want to display for each of these states, we need to have a tick next to that name in the list. Now we want the button to be black when it's normal and blue when the mouse rolls over it. So I'm going to switch blue button off in the normal column, and I'm going to switch black button off in the mouse over column. We can also apply a link to this button. Keeping it selected, we go back to this site pane and drag a page onto the link area at the bottom of the window. So let's have a look at this again in a browser. Go to Preview in Browser, Safari, and we have a button which changes blue when we roll over it, and when we click on it, it will take us to another page. What I want to do is to have this button in this blue area, which is also a graphic. So I'm just going to drag it on there, and that should do the job. Let's have a look at that in a browser and see how that behaves. Again, in Safari, might need to refresh. Now the rollover appears to have broken. The link works, but the button doesn't change colour. And this is because Freeway has combined all these graphics together into one object. And what we want to do is to let Freeway generate the rollover with just the button elements. So if I select the background blue colour and in the Inspector palette switch off Combined Graphics, we should now find that the rollover works as we expect. Again, we'll preview it in Safari. We'll need to have a refresh, and there we are. The button now rolls over as it did before, and we click on it and it takes us to our second page. In this moment we've looked at building rollovers. We've grouped graphics together and we've aligned them. We've used the site pane to select specific items on a page, and we've also locked the elements of the button so that we can move the entire group in one go. We've also learnt that if we move a rollover on top of another graphic, then things might go wrong, and it usually helps to switch combined graphics off on the background element so that the rollover can function normally. So that's it for this particular freeway moment. There'll be another one soon. So until then, goodbye.